Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm Rodney.
I'm Jamal.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Vince.
And I'm Vashti.
And we are
Under construction. So today, we have a very, very special guest.
Oh,
Woo!
She is Vashti Hurt from Carolina Blitz, and she is also a contributor to 99.9 The Fan in Raleigh. Everybody welcome again, Vashti Hurt. Round of applause, y'all.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I'm a fan of what y'all are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have a fellow trap music fan that you can talk to about all that garbage.
Nothing better to listen to when you want to get hyped before a game, before the club.
You want to paint?
Really? Trap and paint is the corniest concept ever. Hey, man, music snobbery at its best. All right, let's get back on track. I'm sorry, everybody.
So how was your weekend, Vashti?
It was I actually took a break somewhat this weekend. Everything has been go with the start of training camp. So I covered Fan Fest, and yesterday I kind of chilled. And I was gonna go to training camp today, but I think I'm gonna go tomorrow. I need a bit of a break. So,
gentlemen, how was your weekend? Church service again?
I need to be in the front row today, bro. I'll just keep it at that, man. I'm here. I'm gonna keep it at that.
With this, I'm gonna go with chaotic and very, very eventful. But yesterday was actually a good day. I went on the Crowder's Mountain, got in a nice little hike, and then my homeboy.
Black people hike.
Yeah, black people actually do nature stuff like that, y'all. So feel free to reach out. And Arion, who will be on the show next week, he's actually having a kickball tournament right now. And yesterday was a co-ed tournament, so I went down there and checked that out. There was a few thousand people down there playing, and there was a team from, I think, DC that actually won it, $5,000 for playing kickball.
Nice.
And then after that, I went and played laser tag last night. And that was pretty good. So I had a pretty eventful day. And I'm ready to just get here, ready to talk about these topics that we got going on today. So looking forward to that.
We have a lot of topics today. We're going to jump into our back-to-back winning season segment. Why?
Because we've never had any.
That's cute. I like
that. Hey, we kind of harmonized that one, too. That was dope, man.
So we're going to start off with training camp. I'm going to defer to our training camp expert right here. Who, in your opinion, who was a standout in training camp?
So far, it's been Curtis Samuel, but he usually has pretty good training camps. And DJ Moore, I think he is really ready to step up and take that number one receiver role.
I kind of like the way you said Curtis Samuel always has good training camps. Hey,
there's no shade, though. Don't do that, Jamal. There was no shade in that.
Okay, all right.
There was no shade. Curtis Samuel is a weapon. He's a speed guy, and hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy.
All right, cool.
Now, have you seen anything this year as opposed to anything different from years past that has you mentioning his name first?
Curtis?
Yeah.
I mean, there seems to be a bit of a confidence level there. I feel like getting the playing time that he got last year, now coming into camp this year, he kind of feels more comfortable with things, and I see it with DJ too. And they kind of have this rapport among them, where they consider themselves the young guns. In the locker room last year, him, DJ, and Dante, they call themselves the young guns, and so they have this. They bring this little swag to the team that I think is needed to balance some of the vets that are on there, and they take that role proudly. And so I feel like there's that youthful exuberance coupled with that bit of maturity that comes with going through this for the second time.
Okay. Now, you mentioned Dante. Have you watched the All or Nothing? Okay. He wasn't happy with the way that he was portrayed. With you having more of a bird's eye view than the average fan, was he portrayed the right way, so to speak?
Was it accurate?
I don't know if it was accurate. I think that they picked, there had to be, in those type of things, there has to be kind of like the villain. And he kind of played that villain role, I think, in that series. But amongst the team, nobody looks at him as a bad teammate or a guy who doesn't want to listen. I think that, that is also who he is. He's got, a specialist. They have this cockiness about him, and they have to have that cockiness about him. Really, the good ones do, right?
Right. I was going to say I'd be more concerned if he just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like if he wasn't upset about the mistakes he made and being criticized from him, I'd probably worry more about that, man. So I kind of like to see it. So
definitely.
All the reasons he said,
translate on the field. Okay, what about the rookies? What are you seeing from the rookies?
Brian Burns is going to be good.
Okay.
Where did he go to school, Rodney?
With the crab legs.
He has an explosiveness about him. That running back position will be really interesting with Holyfield and Scarlett. So we're trying to figure out who is going to really take that step. Holyfield has kind of been like a fan favorite.
Okay.
Really. With him coming in as a undrafted free agent with the name associated with it, with him, and so look out for that who comes out of that fray and makes the roster.
Gotcha. How has the offensive line been performing thus far in training camp?
They look good. Little has had a bit of a rough
time. I heard.
Yeah,
he's a little raw.
He's raw, but it's not. I mean, it's early.
Right.
Usually with linemen, they have to get in a rhythm. They have to, they really thrive off of kind of being in that group setting. They haven't. You got to understand, they haven't even played a game yet.
Right.
In training camp, they do 11-on-11 drills, but it's very, you never have time to get in a rhythm. Gotcha. So they may run 3 or 4 plays and then the second team will go in. So I don't think, people, their videos of him getting, just completely obliterated out there. It's not, don't panic yet. Okay. Pilardi, we still don't know what's going on with him. I mean, the Ryan Khalil thing blew me though.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. He's in the movies, I heard. And New York is the top market. He paid $8.4 million.
I guess it makes it pretty easy.
Did you get were you able to gauge any reaction from the team when that was made public?
No, we really haven't had access to them since it was made public. They were off, and then they came for Fan Fest, and really only it was kind of like a scrum environment. Most of the guys were ready to speak to their families and stuff who were there, so nobody really asked a question. I don't know if anybody will ask the question. Guys are so media savvy. I don't think they're gonna come out and say how they really feel. Like, dude, like he's shady. But they're gonna say, oh well, you wish him luck. But when you're willing to give a guy who's played 30 years, $8 million. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna be mad at that either. So it's kind of like,
decisions, man.
So every year that I've went to training camp, like, the team always reaches this point where they're fighting each other because they're just ready to go out and just hit somebody. Like, they're so sick of seeing each other playing against each other. It's like, all right, I gotta go hit somebody. Have they reached that point just yet?
Not quite. Holyfield got into it with I don't remember the guy's name, but when the refs came in, the ref had blown the whistle. He kind of held his block a little long, and it was kind of been like.
See, I asked the important question, like, who fighting? Like, so who fighting?
But there have been no But you know what? I think before the Super Bowl season, Josh Norman and Cam kind of had that scuffle. Yeah. Like, sometimes you need that. Cam said in the interview that there's really no he's his jovial self, but there's nobody on the team right now who'll go back and forth with him.
Yeah.
That was Thomas Davis. So Thomas Davis had the presence. He had been here for a while.
Right.
And he was good. So, they kind of had that offensive, defensive type of jarring. There's nobody on the team that really has that edge. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a name. And I want you to the first word that comes to your mind, let me know what it is. And I just want you to elaborate on however you want to, okay?
I'm nervous about this.
Will Grier.
He throws a nice deep ball.
That's not one word.
One word.
That's not one word.
Non-threat.
Oh, please elaborate.
Will Grier is not all of this talk like Will Grier is going to come and take Cam's spot. No, there is the degree of separation between these two guys is so large. Like, don't even think that he is remotely a threat to Cam Newton's job. Yes, he throws a nice deep ball every now and then. But this man is not, I don't care how much y'all want to see him come in and threaten Cam Newton. There's no threat. He's a non-threat.
Okay. So that backup quarterback spot, who's looking to take that one after a week?
Honestly, I haven't really been looking that close at them.
Because he's not a threat. Got you.
I mean, it's really been about how Cam, because it's really Cam. Like, it's not, the number 2 guy will be so far below. I mean, it's such a drop off that, we've been more looking at, okay, how is Cam looking? What is his, this new throwing motion that he has? How is his shoulder feeling? How does he seem to be coming back? Because, that backup slot is the backup.
Okay.
So I think I'll pay attention more to that in the preseason games when they get more PT, but it's hard to really gauge that in practice.
So speaking of backup, how has Rashawn Golden been performing?
That was my next question.
There's a reason why Tre Boston was brought in. And I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. It's just listen. I'm not saying that he's been terrible, but that position has been a weakness, and they improved it with the signing of Eric Reed. But we saw what happened last year when who was brought in that game and completely got burned the whole time.
I don't know. It was all over.
Well, which game are you talking about?
Mike Adams.
No, the safety.
Mike Adams?
Not Mike Adams. Gosh, I'll remember the name. Anyways, so yeah, their safety, they were slow, and that secondary has been an area of weakness. So Golden has had his moments, but there's a reason why they brought in Tre Boston.
Because all season, I kind of felt like the Panthers have made the right moves all off season. They improved the pass rush, which was obviously necessary. You know what I mean? They got the savior backup quarterback. They filled a lot of holes, but all season, like, why don't they go get a safety? Like, I kept asking this all season. Like, it's one thing y'all obviously need. Go get them, and we'll talk about that a little later on in this segment. But yeah,
I got one more question before we move on. Sometime last week, Cam Newton made a comment about he's feeling like he was during his rookie year. Are you seeing that on the field with his attitude, the way he's playing? Are you seeing rookie Cam Newton? Do you want to see rookie Cam Newton?
I think, and I listened to that entire interview, and I think that what he said kind of got, it got misconstrued. It wasn't like he felt like he was a rookie again. I think he felt like he's saying learning how to condition his body and learning what to do and how far he can take things, that kind of stuff. He feels like he's a rookie because he's learning how to do things differently.
Okay.
Not that, I feel like I'm a rookie again. It's more like, training myself, knowing what to do, when to take days off, being more of a vet. He feels more of a rookie role, learning how to be a true vet.
Gotcha.
Okay. What's up?
All right, so we're going to move on to talk about the saltiest man in Charlotte. His name is DeAngelo Williams. He was on 610 AM. He had an interview with Mac and T-Bone about his comments with ESPN.
Right.
How do you guys feel about DeAngelo and his thoughts on the Panthers?
Let me go first, man. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. What year is it?
It is 2019.
Why are we still talking about DeAngelo Williams in 2019, man?
Because he's salty.
And how long has he been going? Since 2015? Earlier than that? 2014 maybe? It's 2019 and we're still talking about our running back from 5-6 years ago, man.
Because he keeps making himself.
Look, man.
We keep feeding the beast, man.
We keep feeding the beast, and locally we keep feeding the beast, which is I'm pretty damn upset about, but we're not going to get into that right now. I don't get it. I truly don't get it because, DeAngelo was let go under different ownership, under different management, and if there's any person or any entity to be mad about, be mad at Jerry Richardson, be mad at Marty Hurney, but why are you taking your saltiness and your anger out on your former teammates? That's what I truly don't understand that.
I've heard that he's still salty about how the team and his teammates handled things when his mother died.
And I think that's what and his frustration and his anger, I believe, is justified. I don't think it's justified how he's directed.
I'm glad you said it. I totally agree with that. Coming from somebody whose mother has passed away, I totally understand where he may be coming from with that. At the same time, man, as grown men, you handle your problems as a grown man. You don't air them out publicly. You get what I'm saying?
Now, at the same time, he really hasn't aired out any problems or grievances. He just isn't mixing salt when it comes to talking about the Panthers.
But it's thinly veiled in shade. Yeah. I understand that. You get what I'm saying? But
in 2015 when he was released, he did have an interview with WCNC in Charlotte. He aired out grievances. He was upset that he stated that I'm upset that nobody came. One person that came on the team was Greg Hardy, and so he kind of, when Gettleman released him, he kind of threw everybody under the bus. Now, which I understand his anger with nobody showing.
Now, if my mom passed away and you guys don't come to the funeral, I'm not upset because we're all adults. We all have our own lives. You guys probably couldn't make it. But where his frustration comes from is that his mom was a part of the NFL's push to be the press cat. So when she was here, she's in all these commercials. They're doing all these events and all that. But then when she passed away, it's like Will Smith at the end of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, where's everybody? So like, she's not here now. Yeah. So like, now you guys don't care. And I think that specifically is where it's coming from. If that wasn't the case, and she just passed away, I don't think he's as upset.
Look,
that seems like his gripe is in with the entire league. There's enough. We don't know what his relationship was with these guys in the locker room. Everybody has different relationships. You have a guy who is a locker room guy, who everybody is cool with. They haven't even everybody shows up because this dude is cool with everybody. You have other people who are standoffish. Yeah. Right. So you can't be the standoffish guy or the guy who kind of removes himself in the locker room and then expect everybody to show up for you at your worst moment. Plus, it was in the middle of the season, right? Mm-hmm. So there are mitigating factors that come into play with this. I understand what you're saying about, she was kind of like the poster child for this what was October? Everybody wears all the pink, and he colored his hair pink, and the NFL has really been able to monetize off of that. But don't have a gripe with the Panthers. Have a gripe with the entire league. He's directing his anger to the wrong people, and it really comes off as bitterness.
Now, let me clarify. I'm not justifying his actions. But I'm saying I more so understand where the frustration coming from.
Right. Let me. I feel like I need to speak on this more because I know how this feels firsthand. It's a deeply hurtful thing, and you keep score sometimes. As wrong as that is to say, sometimes you kind of keep score of who's been there for you, who hasn't been there for you, because it's such a painful thing to deal with. At the same time, man. Again, man, that thinly veiled shade, hurt, whatever you want to call it, I just don't think doing that in public is the right thing to do. You get what I'm saying? And just like Vashti said, there's so many mitigating factors as to why such and such couldn't have just made the funeral. We don't know. You get what I'm saying? But I just don't think the way he's maybe handling his grief is the right thing.
Also, you're saying the way he keeps addressing them. A lot of times when he has these hot takes, whether it be in an interview or whether it be on Twitter, he's saying this in response to somebody else.
Right.
Now, go ahead, Rodney.
So, there was a tweet.
Okay.
That came out last week. Mm-hmm. A young lady named Abby said, lots of my close friends, most in fact, did not go to my mom's funeral. It was out of state. And like an adult, I understood. And he replied back, sounds like you need better friends or your mom just wasn't a nice person. Man. But I'm sure you know the answer to that. But may your mom rest.
Now, he got to let that hurt go. I'm sorry.
Now, wait. I feel like I need to say, now, up until 3 days ago, I was exactly where you guys are right now. I was like, D-Will, you need to shut up, let the bitterness go, let the hate go, and move on. But this is how certain storylines get created, because the tweet that Rodney just read out, the girl, I think her name was like Abby or something. She said that in response to another tweet, and after D Will went on First Take, I think it was like Biased Panthers fan. He said something to the effect that like D Will must be upset that Cam didn't go to his mom's funeral, and that's why he keeps talking about him the way he does.
Right.
And then Abby came back with, I wasn't da. Here's my deal. I don't care that D Will is a former All-Pro football player. If you talk about me about football, basketball, whatnot, I'm gonna keep it football, basketball.
Right.
But when Abby was like, nobody came to my mom's funeral, and I handled it like an adult because that's what adults do.
Right.
I can't get mad at D Will for that response.
What?
That's an unreasonable.
I'm sorry. I'm like, what's the difference? Just because he's
did she add him in it?
Yeah.
Just because, she didn't add him, but she responded to the original.
And then he was added in the other.
He was added to the original.
Okay, so if she didn't bring the mother up, he did, and if she's responding saying that, okay, well, at some point, you can't necessarily be mad about it. I don't know.
I have one thing. I have one particular thing I don't like about DeAngelo's response. Maybe your mother wasn't a nice person because
that's dirty.
Listen. If he would have said that to me, I would have.
Did he delete that tweet?
No, it's still there. Now look, I'm not saying
ugly.
I'm not saying I would say that. I would never say that. But when you bring family into it, I can't get upset for how somebody else responds.
Hey, gloves are off when you bring family into it.
She said like an adult, which insinuated that D Will's acting like a child. So I can't get upset at him for that response.
But don't say maybe your mother wasn't a nice person, man.
That's way too. That's nasty. That's below the belt.
That's the line. That's the line. You don't.
Nobody said anything bad about his mom. They really were addressing, his bitterness.
Right.
Nobody said, his mom, maybe she wasn't nice to other players' moms. No, like for him to come at that girl's mom like that.
Now, does it help his case that he ended the tweet by saying that I hope your mom?
No.
Let's like these sacrimonious people who are nasty and then they say, well, God bless you. So you don't want God to bless me.
Okay.
Because you would just stink.
Now, here's the deal. Okay, we in the grand scheme of things are nobodies, right? I think wait, let me hear this. Between me, Rodney, and Jamal, we probably have 200 followers total on Twitter. Between the three of us, right? If I say something on Twitter to someone else that, well, maybe your mom just wasn't a nice person, nobody talks about it. But if a celebrity, an athlete, actor, if they say it, now it's all of a sudden viewed different.
Listen, DeAngelo Williams gets paid to play football, or he did, and now he gets paid to talk about it. With that type of profile comes a certain amount of responsibility. Vashti can say, unfair or not, right? Vashti can say something on Twitter, and I'm not going to be roasted about it. That's because Vashti doesn't have the profile that DeAngelo Williams does. And with that profile comes responsibility, and he showed lack thereof with his reply.
One other thing that he stated was that he really didn't love football. It was just a job. How do you guys feel about that?
I have absolutely no problem with that. He used it to secure the bag and to secure his kids.
You like DeAngelo, don't you?
No.
I'm really trying to figure this out.
That's the crazy part, because like I say, before a week ago, my comments about D Will would have been vastly different than what they are right now. But leading up to this podcast and just going back and looking at this stuff, I don't have a problem. There's a lot of athletes who use that to secure the bag.
Let me say this. I believe there's certain things you just don't say, whether they're true or not. If I'm a coach, and I hear a player say, well, I really don't love this, I'm just here to get a check, how does that really sound? I mean,
but he performed at a high level.
Listen, and that's fine. That is fine. Even if he performed at a high level, my thought is, well, damn, if you really loved it, you could be better than what you are. If I'm a coach,
maybe
you can hold on to the ball.
Do you think he meant the fumble? Do you think he lined up and said, you know what, I'm going to fumble this ball right now?
He just said he didn't love it. He didn't care. And he fumbled the ball. I was like, well, I'm still getting paid at the end of the game, so check clears whether I fumble or not. So if I'm a coach, I'm like, well, damn, dude, like, what's the motivation?
Okay, the jobs that you guys have right now. would you continue to move about and do those jobs if you weren't getting paid?
Well, it's not football, so
you because you're getting paid. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Different dynamic. There's a way different dynamic with a 9-to-5 job or working for yourself or whatever than it is playing football and performing for a coach and a crowd that adores you and ownership and getting paid millions of dollars. There's a different dynamic, man. So not kind of false equivalent.
I don't know. I would be willing to bet that if you took a poll with the majority of the athletes that are playing right now, they'll tell you the same thing. I'm here to secure the. I love the sport, but
I agree with him to some extent. Some of these guys don't necessarily, and they're different levels. Some of the guys may not love practice, but they love the game, and some of the guys, may love the camaraderie, but they may not love the sport. So I think that there are different levels. I don't have a problem with him saying that he didn't love football, but there is a difference between guys who love football and who are passionate about it and guys who aren't.
Let me ask you a question. What if Nick Batum came out tomorrow and said, I don't really love basketball, I just like getting paid? What was their response be?
That's a false equivalency. It's a false equivalency.
Maybe it is.
No, but the simple fact that Nick Batum has completely disappeared, securing the bag, we can't. It's a false.
What's the difference?
DeAngelo did the same thing.
What is the difference?
D will continue to perform at a high level.
What is a high level?
I don't have the stats. I don't have the stats behind me. I don't have the stats behind me.
Producer.
So after he got the extension, the one that essentially
when Marty Hurt was handing out Thanksgiving turkeys to everybody.
He never had a 1,000-yard season after that until he went to Pittsburgh, and he played. After that extension, he played 5 more seasons with the Panthers.
Wow.
And he was on that 2-14 team. Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He started.
Because that's when Hurney was handing everybody money. Yeah.
The team that averaged 12 points a game.
Yeah,
so
right.
Maybe he should have cared a little more about
Again.
Now, in addition to his drop off in rushing yards, he was sharing the backfield with Stewart, and Cam Newton was entering his third year. He was ending his third year during when he got that new contract, and we know what Cam Newton does when he comes to rushing. So he was it wasn't Jake Delhomme or whoever we've had back there. Like Cam Newton was taking a lot of his yards away. So did he go? You know what? I got the bag now. Let me go pull this Nick Batum before Nick pulls his Nick Batum.
But see, you know what? You wouldn't question it if he didn't come out publicly and say I didn't love football.
Again, sometimes things are better unsaid.
So let me ask you a question. So when he lost weight, when he went to Pittsburgh and got motivated, so how do you explain that?
Well, and what happened in Pittsburgh, I think that's another situation where you aren't expected to perform. So like the expectations were low anyway, because going into that season, Le'Veon Bell was supposed to be the starting role, and I think Will was only supposed to play like 4 games or something. I'm not prepared to speak on that right now, but when he was a replacement, there was no expectations.
Right.
Yeah, but he came in there with a lot of hype. Like I remember.
They will.
Yeah, not him as himself. Like he came in there talking about how he had all this stuff to prove and how he felt so slighted. So he was motivated then. He just wasn't motivated toward the end of his career in Carolina.
So y'all are shading him because he didn't care for football, but you just admit he was motivated when he went to Pittsburgh.
Which means he lied.
So somewhere,
somebody ain't telling the truth.
Hey, D. Will, if you see this, we need you on the show. We got questions, man.
He
has
a real supporter in this because.
Look, I'll admit he is bitter. Some of the stuff he needs to calm down. So, but I understand the place of where the frustration's coming from.
Some of the criticisms of Newton and stuff.
I completely agree.
Look, we probably gotta move on a little bit, but let's talk about that because there was a statement he made on ESPN where he was basically saying Cam was an average quarterback,
right?
And I'm just like, in what world, dude?
And that falls under my statement where I said how he's pointing out or whatnot, that frustration is. I don't get that because that first take interview that he did about Cam Newton, I completely disagree with everything he said about Cam Newton. Okay. Now, can I get some? Are we friends now?
You still a fan over there?
Friends now?
Hey,
I don't know him, so I can't say that.
Hey, Vince, we're still friends, but I have a really old DeAngelo Williams jersey at the house if you want it. Yeah. I got you, bro.
But now get to the whole Cam Newton. The topic was, can Cam Newton get back to his 2015 MVP year? And D. Will said no, and everyone else was like, yeah, I think he can. Here's the deal. I don't think, and I don't want Cam Newton to get back to his MVP year. And the reason for that was because if you look at last season, even though he played with a bum shoulder and he only played 14 games, statistically speaking, his stats last year was actually better than his MVP season. Mm-hmm. So I don't want Cam Newton to go back to his MVP because he will actually regress. Right. So let's get last year Cam Newton back, and we can do that.
And I don't want him to go back to his MVP season because that would mean we would have the offensive coordinator from that year, and I definitely don't want that back. I don't even want to say his name, so let's please not go back to that. I had a nightmare just now, man. Flashback.
But Vashti, we've kind of been talking a lot here. You're our guest. Definitely want to include you. What was your overall thoughts on the ESPN interview?
I mean, I tweeted about it. I don't know what I said specifically. I just thought he was salty. I didn't like the insults to Cam. I thought they seemed a bit personal, and wherever it came from. But to say he was an average quarterback, try to minimize, he only has one MVP. Dude, like, you didn't even sniff an MVP. And you out here minimizing his MVP season. Like, I just didn't like it. He to me, he gave stats without context. He talked about his touchdowns versus interceptions, but didn't talk about his rushing touchdowns. Yeah. Didn't talk about his ground game. So I didn't like it. It just seemed too personal.
And that's one thing I always hate about the Cam Newton conversation. His rushing achievements always get discarded simply because he's a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I always never liked about that conversation right there.
Yeah.
All right. So, want to talk about Tre Boston.
Yeah. He's out, baby. Welcome back.
To fill the void in the backfield that Mr. Golden couldn't put together. How do you guys feel about that?
Let me. I'll say this, man. I saw it. Maybe it was a tweet or a report from training camp where they were trying out Russ Cockrell at safety, and
they were.
I was flabbergasted. I just like, man, if that's the solution at safety, then we are in some trouble. Seriously, man. And that's the first thing I thought. And then 2 days later, we signed Tre Boston, which I don't know what took so long. I seriously don't know what took so long for the Panthers to fill this obvious hole.
I think because Rivera has been saying they've been looking for answers at safety. This is not within the team. In general. Okay. So I think that there may have been, and then I interviewed, or I was in an interview scrum with Boston at FanFest, and he alluded to the fact, and I'm not in the room, I'm not signing the checks, but he kind of alluded to the fact that there may have been conversations all along, but when they got to the number that they both could agree on, that's when the signing happened.
All right, cool.
So I love the signing, but at the same time, I'm a little disappointed in the signing as well. For the same reason that I don't want, that I advocated against Carolina signing Colin Kaepernick. It's not well known, but Tre Boston is a let's go with advocate of social issues, and that's actually kept him from joining other teams. Now, there's another team out there who are in need of a safety even more than the Panthers, and they chose not to reach out to Tre Boston. Would you guys like to guess that team?
Sure.
Saints?
No. Go further west. Further west. Like West Coast.
49ers?
Yeah, 49ers. And they drafted some kid out of Virginia. But Tre Boston actually made comments that he believed that one of the biggest reasons he was able to come back to Carolina was because of a change in ownership.
Right.
Because we don't even have to go down that road. But I think by Carolina signing Tre Boston, I think Tepper became the scapegoat again, because now the rest of these bigoted owners, they didn't have to pick him up, but because Tre Boston gets signed, it's like, hey, he got signed. He has a job now, so you guys can't cry foul that Kaepernick is actually being blackballed, because we now have Reed.
Because I was wondering where you were going with this, and that I get what you're saying now.
I was lost too, but you tied that in. You tied that in.
You were about to have a whole room against you.
I know. I was like, Jamal, where you at? Y'all not know?
It took me a while to get there. I get that, but I mean, we when we signed Eric Reed, because Eric Reed was a top free agent at the time at his position. Same with Tre Boston now before he signed. So when we signed Eric Reed, we kind of I feel like Tepper being the new guy, the new guy at the table. I feel like the league was kind of scapegoated there, and now we've signed Tre Boston as well. So I'm loving that he's here. The secondary got better, but once again, we've become the scapegoat for the rest of the biggest that are in the NFL.
I think it's more of, I don't know if Tre Boston's fight, it wasn't as publicized.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Everyone else's.
It wasn't.
So outside of maybe, because I knew about his issue, his social justice fight. But people outside of the cities that he played in, even in Charlotte, I don't think a lot of Panthers fans really knew how passionate he is about these things. Mm-hmm. I know quite a few people who didn't really pay attention to it until he mentioned the fact that he feels like the change in ownership played a part in him coming back to Carolina. So I don't know, I don't know if that I get what you're saying, but I do think that Tepper should be applauded in this situation.
Yeah, still applaud him. Still applaud him. Yeah.
Because this man, he just really, he gets it.
Yeah,
he gets it, but he doesn't care.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what you need sometimes, people who don't care what other people think. Like we saw in the All or Nothing when Eric Reed took a kneel during the thing, and then he got up. He was like, "Oh, the world didn't end." I'm like, man, this dude, I don't know what his personal views are. I don't know how he votes, but when it comes to the team, at least he's not lockstep with these other, bigoted owners who feel like men or black men who stand up in their truth for who they are and issues that affect us are a threat to them.
Right.
Yeah.
We should give Tepper $1 billion in the stadium.
On the South Carolina border.
No.
We're not going there.
He ain't going there.
You want to put a stadium down there?
I think it'll be better business wise. Hey, I'm sorry.
Business wise,
it'll be better.
I don't want to drive down there to go to football games. Charlotte is the nucleus.
It's 2 states, 1 team.
Charlotte is right here.
They got exactly. Right. They got something.
Charlotte is literally the biggest city in both states. It's right on the border. It's a perfect place. A stadium in Fort Mill.
It's gonna
happen. That is so gross.
It might be gross, but it's gonna happen.
Hey, you can go to Carowinds after the game.
No, the facility will be down there, but they will not build a stadium down there.
Okay, time will tell. Time will tell.
Hey, man,
Look what happened to the Charlotte Knights. They took their stadium out of Fort Mill. Now they sell more tickets than any other minor league baseball team.
Hey man, hey y'all.
Economically, it just doesn't make sense.
Hey, we still need a 3rd string quarterback. I just want to throw that out there. We can have an all woke team. You know what I'm saying? That's not a good idea.
I would love that. Okay. Listen.
I mean,
no?
I'm just saying.
I don't know about that, man.
That's too much?
Purely football. I would love it. Everything else,
a little bit of distraction, maybe. Yeah.
And then when Cam, for whatever reason, doesn't take a snap and he goes in there before Greer.
Oh boy, Lord have mercy. Ooh wee.
That would never happen, but
I the hometown guy.
Yeah, okay.
Second coming of DeLone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, good stuff, y'all. Good stuff.
All right, so we're gonna get to know Vashti a little more.
Who's that? Vashti, man.
Vashti.
It's okay. I was gonna let it ride. But thank you, Jamal.
Hey, man.
Since I can't get it right, go ahead, man.
All right, so I'll get this thing started. So why don't you tell everybody how I influenced? No, I'm just joking, man. Tell everybody how you got started in this crazy world of sports journalism. what inspired you, and how did you get started?
I've always been into sports. I played sports growing up. And I actually was an investment banker for a while. And a friend of mine, the only 2 black girls on the trading floor, she started a blog. She was really forward thinking because this was probably like 10 years ago. Wow. And she started a blog and she wanted me to write a weekly sports column. And I was like, okay. Because I would always be at the time on Facebook talking about sports, talking about trades, signings, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll write it, but nobody's going to read it. So people actually started reading it. So I found myself, I was already, spending work time looking at sports, but now I was spending work time looking at sports and writing about sports. So, so it just kind of evolved from there. I started working with Black Sports Online, and I covered my first NCAA tournament, and it was a wrap from there. It was like I had reached the point where I'd hated banking, and I wanted something else. And when I covered that, and I was just asking for guidance, like, please, what is my passion? What am I supposed to be doing? And then I covered my first NCAA tournament, and then it was a wrap from there. And so I, as all aspiring sports journalists do, they go out and they try to get somebody to hire them. And nobody was hiring a former investment banker with just cursory journalism background. So I started my own outlet, and it's been go since then.
I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. Before I say this,
why are you prefacing this?
Because I remember you let me read your first sports article, and you were talking about Josh Norman's hair, and I said to myself, "Yeah, you got kind of a long way to go."
Josh Norman's hair? What now? Whoa! No, because Josh Norman wasn't even in the league then.
You talked about somebody's hair in the sports article, and I was like, you might want to take that out of the article.
Why? Now you see people more and more talking about fashion and stuff. I was ahead of the curve.
But you got the drip, man. But you was like, he need to comb his hair, and I was like, come on.
Jamal, I would have never said that. You are lying right now. Are you serious?
Hey, you gotta bring
Jamal,
the receipts, bro. You gotta
where are the
receipts?
receipts?
You gotta go back and find the article.
But you may be wait. I would not have put that in an article, but I probably would have posted it on Facebook.
Maybe.
But there's a difference.
But back to the compliment.
No, I don't even want to hear it now because you just shaded me.
This was meant to be a compliment. Your work is great now.
We beefing.
He said now.
We beefing. He said now. Really?
Okay. So let me ask you, where are you from originally?
Columbia.
South Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, you're South Carolinian. Okay.
And you don't want to bring a team to the border?
I don't really claim South Carolina though.
Okay.
I'm from Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. You went to high school in Charlotte?
No.
In Columbia?
Yes.
I'm from Charleston. I went to high school in Charleston for my last year. I'm born in.
Where'd you go to college?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I went to UNC Charlotte.
Oh. You completely abandoned South Carolina?
Yeah, he's a diehard South Carolina.
Yeah, he's
I'm both, but I hold on to South Carolina.
I don't really hold on to South Carolina. South Carolina is, it's where my roots are on my mom's side, no doubt. But it's just South Carolina is about 50 years behind. Ooh. And I just can't get with it. I mean, when you cross that border, the stench of racism just hits you in the face.
If you go west that way.
Yeah, but I don't go that way. I just stay right here in Charlotte. Go to Raleigh,
I'm
Charlotte.
sorry, that flag came down when?
And what did it take? What did it take?
Okay, so getting back to the interview part, college and pro. Give me your basketball and football teams that you follow, other than obviously the Panthers and whatnot.
I cover UNC. I cover Duke.
No, as a fan, growing up, who did you follow as a fan?
I can't say this stuff.
Oh yeah, you
people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're a fan. You're biased."
We do it.
Yeah. Let's go.
I can't because I will be shaded so hard. Oh no, they'll go back and recall tweets, and this is why you said this and this then. And
that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
You're a fan of, but we
Kirk Herbstreit goes.
I am not a fan of anyone right now. I am, a lover of all sports.
Who were you a fan of?
I grew up. Did you say NBA? I wasn't a fan of teams in NBA. I love Penny Hardaway. He was my favorite player. Penny Hardaway and Michael Jordan. So by default, I like those teams.
Okay.
I didn't start watching football till I got to college. And I was here in Charlotte, so of course I naturally started following the Panthers. And
Come on.
I grew up in probably in high school. I was an avid Duke fan.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
I know. See what I'm saying? Now you got me on tape saying this. But guys, I'm not a Duke fan anymore. I'm just a fan of sports.
You're just a professional.
I'm just a professional, non-biased reporter who covers
right.
Duke and UNC.
So let me ask you a question. So being a female in the industry, what are some obstacles that you face on a daily basis, like in the locker room or just trying to get access?
I don't have obstacles. Well, access is a thing. The locker room is, people think, oh, guys are hitting on you. Like these are men. These are professional men. I don't have any problems in the locker room. I have not been. I haven't been hollered at. Nobody's been unprofessional. Sometimes, like with college, like the guys may be taken aback when I walk in. Sometimes, but usually, like once they get to the level of a UNC or a Duke, they've seen women in the locker room before. So it's really professional. The coaches and the scouts are one you need to look out for, but I'm not going. We're not going to get into any stories. Access is more of a problem, especially with me being independent, black, and a woman. I have to jump through a lot of hoops to get access. I probably have to show more. I have to show up more. I have to do more. But UNC has been great with giving me access. Duke has been great with giving me access, and I'm working on the Panthers, so they have been giving me more access.
What's been your favorite event to cover so far?
NCAA tournament. No, ACC tournament, hands down.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned a lot of teams, but one team I haven't heard yet.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. I don't do the Hornets.
Why not?
When you say you don't do them, you don't cover them?
I don't really cover the Hornets. I have reached out to the Hornets several times. It's not like they have an abundance of people covering their sport teams.
Yeah, it's why we started this podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's for some reason the Hornets have this antiquated view on media and coverage, and so now if I can't even get a response to an email, I'm not even going to mention them on my site.
Let me ask you this: do you think they have that antiquated view because they are afraid of what media outlets say to them? Do you think they want?
I don't know. I don't think that's it. I just feel like you have some people who understand that the industry is changing, that now people have a choice with where they go and get their sports content. It used to be, you have to go look at the newspaper.
Right.
You don't have to go to the Observer anymore.
So my second question: do you believe it's a little archaic?
It's very archaic.
Okay,
it's very archaic. It's archaic. It's like, okay, well, if you're a newspaper or such and such, okay, we'll let you in. Or I've seen some people who have zero following and really bad content, and they're let in. I don't understand what the parameters are. It's not very consistent.
I want to say something.
Yeah, leave it alone, because I know what you think. Leave it alone.
It's not very consistent, but Carolina Blitz has tried to cover the Hornets, and even I was managing editor for SB Nation's Hornets site at the Hive for a while, and they wouldn't give us access. And this was a site affiliated with Vox Media, and they would not. We don't credential blogs, is what they said. So it's just, I feel like the Hornets, honestly, are missing out on huge opportunities to grow their fan base. Even in times where the team isn't as good, there are ways to keep your name out there and relevant, and have coverage of your team ever going constantly. I don't even hear about the Hornets during the off season unless they're sending some type of corny tweet on Twitter and somebody sends it to me and say, look how corny the Hornets social media team is. So it's just, I feel like there's a lot of room. There are podcasts, there are people who really want to cover this team, but you have Rick Bonnell in this.
There's one more.
Rob Boone from the Athletic now,
but that's it.
That's
it. And you need more voices in that press room because. And I'm sorry. I don't mean to be long-winded. No, but I was just having this conversation with my mom media, and this was, surrounding everything that's going on in the media right now. Oftentimes, the conversation is driven with the media, and not necessarily the people who are on TV. People think, TV, they might drive it, but the writers really started, and then the people on TV carry it on. So if you don't have diversity, if you don't have a varied number of opinions in that locker room, you're only getting that one perspective, and it does a disservice.
Well, at least they're consistent with the confusing moves they make. So
now with the Panthers, with the old regime, I've heard a lot of rumors that the reason why they never really got criticized the way that we probably felt that they should in the past was because it came from the top that if you speak on this in a certain way, we're going to take away your credentials.
I heard that too.
You think that's kind of the same thing that the Hornets are doing? They're just trying to control the narrative in a way?
I mean, it's different though. With social media, you can't control the narrative anymore. Like, I can go and tweet something and it goes viral, and here's a new narrative.
Right. Right.
So I don't even know if it has to do with that. I just think they may have an old school,
just out of touch.
School out of touch view about things.
Right.
I don't even know what the narrative is around the Hornets at this point.
Well,
we don't have another hour.
Yeah,
we don't have another
hour. So there is no narrative.
That's the narrative. Michael Jordan, the grand wizard of all things, can't do it. That's the narrative.
Don't trash Michael.
No, we don't. We don't.
Okay. I think that people we won't get into that. That's a whole nother conversation. But Michael Jordan isn't the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate that. Right.
We appreciate somebody else saying that.
We appreciate that. We were able to get the 10th pick in here today, so we appreciate it.
A little bit.
Just a
we got
tad
the segment in here.
So right. Switch gears. So how did you get affiliated with 99 The Fan and Rodney?
I actually know Reese and K-Mac, they have a show called The Sports Shop, and there aren't many black people in media. So you see each other a certain number of times, you speak, and I had been on the show a couple of times before, and done just interviews about something that's going on, and we discussed me doing a regular segment, and so it's kind of I've been doing it for a little over a year now.
Cool. Okay, how's the growth of Carolina Blitz been for you?
It's been really good. Like last year, honestly, this is a grind. I mean, y'all understand it. So before last year, I was like, man, if this doesn't pop off, I'm going back to corporate America begrudgingly, but I'm going back. And then I get seasoned for UNC and Duke. And last year with Duke, that was a huge deal because of Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett. And it was just a really exciting team. And it really grew my exposure. And I kind of started getting in with the Panthers. And now I'm getting in with the Panthers more. So it's like, you will be led to where you have to go.
Okay. Right.
And sometimes you will be tested just to see if you can persevere. And if you persevere, you will reap the benefits of that.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm starting to.
Yeah, we definitely needed it.
And listen, it's hard. I get it. But if you persevere, you will start to see the reaping of the benefits. And I'm starting to see it now.
Okay. How do you go about getting credentialed?
It's different. It's different for every, because there are different people credentialing with different outlets. So, for example, with UNC, you have to show the guy who credentials for UNC. He has to see your body of work. It has to be consistent. He has to think it's up to par, and you have to show up. Basically, some people, if you know somebody, they'll let you in the door. Other people, like with Duke last year, it was showing up, doing the work, and I don't take no for an answer. That's another thing. Like, okay, you gonna tell me no? Like, I know the Panthers guy, Steve Drummond. I'm sorry, Steve, for emailing you like 1,000 times, but he finally responded. That's all I needed. I needed one response. So, you have to be persistent. You have to have work. And honestly, it's still a bit antiquated in some instances because they want to see writing.
Yeah.
There has to be a writing component is what I'm showing. Like, videos are good. You can have a huge social media following, but I see some people who don't have a huge social media following, but they have written content and they get access. So you have to be able to write, and I'll tell people that all the time.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
You have to be able to write and have some type of written content that complements or goes along with your podcast or your video content. So that's always important.
I'll ask one more question and then I'll let you guys have it because I feel like I'm still in tune with y'all.
Go ahead, man.
You mentioned all the things that you're doing and you've had to do. How do you balance that with life? Your social life?
No, I don't. So I took the summer off, and you need to do that. So for after I thought I was going to the Final Four last year. I didn't go to the Final Four, and so after basketball season was over with, I really every now and then I might write something, but I just took off. And now that football season is go. It really is go. So literally, I have something to do every day, but I have to say, today I wasn't feeling the best. I was going to go from here straight to training camp, but I'm not feeling well. I know if I'm not feeling well now, I can't go to training camp tomorrow. Gotcha. I can't fly to Chicago to cover the preseason game. So you have to take days off, but it really is no balance. I'm by myself and I'm covering 4 teams.
Okay.
So there are no days off. You just have to have moments of reprieve.
Okay. That's cool. Now, do you have a team that you work with that helps you out with all this?
What do you mean?
With Carolina Blitz. No, it's just you.
It's a one-woman show. Right now. I would love to work with people. I'm just apprehensive. And I have people, I want to work with you. But you have to be careful because, and I said this before, as a black woman, my leash, everybody else's leash may be this long, but my leash is this long. So let somebody mess up under my name, and I'm done for.
Yeah.
So I can't go to advertisers and say, look, guys, I have this access. I have UNC access. I'll be at all the games. Or I have Duke access. I'll be at Panthers. And you can attach your brand to these teams and this access that I have. If I lose that, I have nothing. Right. So it's hard for me to grow a team with people who I can trust to do the job just as good, or maybe not just as good, but do the job that will be up to the standard that these people hold me to.
So do you have any close media relationships with anybody within the Charlotte market, 6'10", 7'30", anything like that?
Kyle Bailey, he's a cool guy.
Gotcha.
I've been on his show a couple of times. He seems to be I
got a funny story. You were on 610.
No, I don't want to hear your story because you already told a story about me talking about somebody's hair.
No, this is not a reflection on you. It's more of me, actually. You were on 610 The Fan one afternoon with Frank and Kyle, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Y'all talking about the Hornets. And there was some angry guy that called to the show. And you were like, man, that voice sounds familiar.
I knew it. Matter of fact, this was during the golf tournament. Yeah. Somebody said, I don't remember, but he said they didn't mention your name.
No, they didn't.
But the way it came across, I called you afterwards. I was like, man, Jamal, was that you? He was like, yeah, that was me. I said, oh God.
Angry black fan.
I know, exactly.
Because Frank used to piss me off so much when we talk about the Hornets, man. So I had to call him, man. So
yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, CL Brown, he works for The Athletic now. He used to write with ESPN. He's up in Raleigh. The guys from the Sports Shop, Jasmine Fritz, she does stuff with the Sports Shop. Josh, who's on Fox Sports, a black guy.
Josh Sims,
yeah, Josh Sims. He's cool. Sheena Quick, she does stuff. I'm cool with her. Yeah, she does a lot with the Big Three now. She does stuff with the Panthers. So, yeah, I mean, I have, I'm probably the closest with Sheena just because, birds of a feather, so we understand the struggle, and then we do stuff sometimes as far as talking about the games and stuff. We're both independent, so it's kind of different, but yeah. But I don't have Sheena would be you don't really have friends in this business because when you're independent, everybody thinks that you're competition, low key,
right?
They act like they don't respect you, but low key they know you're competition. Gotcha. So it's a very competitive thing.
Gotcha.
That seems to be a common narrative going on right now.
That's something we'll talk about after.
What happened?
It's an inside joke, and we have to talk about that off screen. Yeah.
We don't want to piss anybody else.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna jump into our culture segment.
All right.
Last week, LeBron James caused a ruckus in during the summer when the content is dry. So basically, he's getting called out for being a parent. So How do you guys feel about that? Is he a bad parent? He's out of bounds? Or what's going on?
LeBron James is not a bad parent. By no, I don't.
Hey man, I saw that on Twitter, so it's real.
Man, it was on a meme because if it's on a meme, it's really real. If it's on
I think it was done by Basketball Forever.
Okay, so if it, you're awesome.
Who is Basketball Forever?
Nobody we should mention ever again.
Okay.
If you don't know, it's a good thing you don't know.
So here's the thing, man. You know, none of us obviously know LeBron James personally. We can only look from the outside looking in. There's nothing that speaks to LeBron James being a bad parent. That's outrageous. That's asinine. However,
oh, here we go.
However, my constant main criticism of LeBron James over his career, he's not a bad guy. He's a great ambassador for the NBA. But he's always been an attention whore, in my opinion. And sometimes when you seek attention, you get attention. Now, let's talk to specifically what happened in the video. So, it's one thing, you know, his son dunked the ball. He got excited. What parent shouldn't be excited about seeing his kid dunk? Maybe it's the first time. I don't know. Whatever. He's excited to see his kid dunk. Cool. He runs out on the court. I'm LeBron James. I'm going to run out on the court, take a picture, whatever.
Grab my shit.
That's one thing. I'm sorry to say this, but him being in the layup line dunking was a little too much.
Okay,
for me,
wait. Let me explain this because I've covered a game where LeBron's son was playing last year here in Charlotte, and shout out to them and CP3 because that was one of the best games, middle school especially. You know, I don't go to middle school games. That was a heck of a game. You have to understand the amount of attention that being LeBron James brings, right?
Why do you need more?
Wait. People want to see that. And this is not something that he does, he does this even when the attention is not there.
Yeah, we agree on that part.
But I don't see, it would be different if it was you. And you got in the layup line.
It would totally be different.
These people want to see
funnier.
You have hundreds of people crowding around because LeBron James is here and he's watching his son. And actually, he really is kind of low key about it. And I know it doesn't sound. I'm serious. At the game, there weren't tons of security. Now he and his family were on the opposite side of the court, right, where the players were, but also other players' families were over there. Mm-hmm. It was kind of chill. LeBron would be in the huddle, because he kind of serves as a coach too, oh, really? Of course. But yeah. I mean, he is LeBron James. You just a hater. Oh, so he would be, anything. He'll get in the layup line. When you are LeBron James, you are able to do these type of things. Course. But I don't get it. I don't take it as him being an attention whore.
I don't think he was seeking attention.
No.
He did. Now here's the deal, and you guys have kind of alluded to this. So if Rodney Richardson goes out to a high school football game and it's in between the first and second quarter, and he starts throwing the football out there, his son's on the sideline going crazy, Rodney is probably going to get asked to leave the field.
Yeah.
Because he's Rodney. He's not LeBron James. And that's the only part that I'm having trouble with, is that if the average Joe Blow does it, then it's get out of here. Get out. However, in a society where you see plenty of black boys growing up without their fathers, I can't bring myself to criticize what LeBron did.
I'm actually going to speak in LeBron James' favor one time, because they're parents will tell you there are parents who do a lot worse at those games. There's parents who do way worse than what LeBron James does. So in that instance, I'll actually speak in his favor. But I'll say one more thing. So Kobe Bryant's little girl plays basketball too. He's over there chilling. Kobe's over there just watching the game.
Are we really going to compare the two?
Oh, man. We compared it.
Kobe's daughter is not dunking off the dribble. And if she did, Kobe will go wild.
But Kobe wasn't in the layup line.
Versus boys, it's different.
I see where you're going with it, Jamal.
It's not the same.
It's the personalities. I can't bring myself to criticize LeBron for
that. Can I say this? With all this being said, I'll say this. It's not a big deal.
It's not. Because at the end of the day, his son goes home and says, "My dad was dunking in my high school layup line,"
and it probably takes some of the attention off him as well.
Yeah. Because he's the son of LeBron. Yeah. And then his friends go home and say, "Mom, I got to see LeBron James dunk in my high school layup line."
And plus, it's not like LeBron James is on ESPN sounding like an idiot and trying to sell overpriced shoes. So, I mean, there's worse that can be done.
The kids.
All my son's gonna play in LA.
The kids seem to love it. And I saw a tweet, and maybe y'all have seen it too. That said, LeBron James is a dad that takes all the players to McDonald's after the game, and then the son goes home. The mom is cooked, but the son doesn't want to eat. So the dad and the mom is mad. So the dad is mad at LeBron because the mom is mad because he doesn't want to eat because LeBron took him all from McDonald's. Like, that's the kind of thing. Like, were you salty because of what? Like,
that was.
It wouldn't be done.
I wish I could have seen that tweet because I would have trolled it. Because why is mom and dad at home while the son is playing basketball anyway?
You're going too deep into it.
No, but that's just me.
Fair question.
I mean, my parents weren't there when I played high school sports, so like that's what I look at. So, but question: what if we wake up tomorrow and we see LeVar Ball shooting 3-pointers at LaMelo's halftime? How are we responding to this?
LeVar, first of all, can't hoop.
That's why I said.
He told me that.
He does more talking with his mouth.
Well,
so he doesn't have to be a layup line.
Well, here's the deal. No matter how you want to chop it up, LeVar Ball has better college stats than LeBron James. So,
and it could be Michael Jordan.
So now. They got there in two different ways, but LeVar Ball has a platform. Okay, he has a very huge platform. So
I think it's falling off. I think his
it's slowly falling off, but his name still resonates. So because LeVar Ball is not Rodney Richardson. He's not LeBron James, but he's not Rodney Richardson.
But he was the Carolina Panther, though.
Who is Rodney Richardson?
That's Rodney right there.
Right.
Oh.
That's right.
Who do you keep bringing up Rodney Richardson?
I'm using...
Who's Rodney?
I'm using his name.
Use his full name.
I'm using his name in lieu
that I'm supposed to know.
No, I'm using his name in lieu of saying the average Joe.
Okay, thank you.
So he's not the average Joe, but he's not LeBron James. So if he goes out there, and I say 3-pointers because we know he can't dunk, are we having the same reaction that we're having now in response to LeBron
Absolutely
James?
not. Absolutely not. No, we're not having the same reaction.
So it just depends on the person.
To be honest with you, his layup line to me is calling Cowherd and ESPN.
That's true. That is his layup line.
I don't even know if he can go on any of those networks anymore now.
He can go on. The ESPN banned him. That was it.
Maybe you guys should switch gears.
Hey,
It took me a second.
I know. I was like, what would we do?
Touche.
Excellent work.
Right.
Excellent work, man.
But LeVar's making a comeback soon. That kid's gonna be a lottery pick.
I think LaMelo's gonna be legit.
Y'all think LaMelo?
I think LaMelo's gonna be
I think
legit.
he's pretty straight.
I think LaMelo's gonna be legit.
He might be better than Lonzo.
Yeah,
I don't think Lonzo is that good anyway. So hopefully he is better.
Wow, could you imagine LaMelo on the Hornets? And we
Stop! No.
Somebody had to say it.
Oh!
Somebody had to say it.
No.
Somebody had to say it, man.
No.
You don't want LaMelo?
No, we don't want LeVar.
I don't want LeVar.
We want LaMelo to be
Well,
fine.
That LeVar and Jordan circus.
Oh my God, Lord have mercy, man. Listen.
You think the Jordan hates
At least somebody would be talking about the Hornets. They don't talk about them now.
No, they talk about
They
it.
talk about it. You're just not a fan. You're not negotiating in the fan base, but there's some.
No, outside of the fan base.
Yeah, agree.
Outside of the diehard Hornets fan base.
No. Listen,
No,
we
talk
get
about
your
it.
point. National media,
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
around these parts.
Yeah, we the only way we
Boy.
get talked about is if we give Rozier $18 million per. That's
Right.
the only way
That's
we
what-
get. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we dig that. Well, not really, but we understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump into Elevated J's album review. What you think, Jamal?
I think it'd be nice to have him here, Elevated J. Anywho, moving on. As far as the album goes, man, so my music snobbery knows no bounds, and y'all know how I am about music. But let me say that I really enjoyed this album. I did, man. It's shut up, Rodney, man. Don't make that face, man. So he had his first single, which I have to look up because I can't remember it off the top of my head, which is God, come on.
Hey, is it like Hey Y'all? For y'all.
For y'all. I dig the video. I think my man Surf shot the video, so shout out to Surf, man. Nah, man, this is good work, man. I've actually listened to Jay's other work, man. I think this is his best work. I'll say this about him personally, man. Like, you know, Charlotte's hip hop scene is blossoming right now, man. It's bubbling right now, man. I love to see it, bro. Love it, man. And I think Jay should be next, based off his work, man. Seriously, man.
I agree.
Jay needs to be next, man. And because let me say this: there are certain artists I've heard before they blew up, and I always say, all right, that guy's next. Like, I've always accurately predicted that dude's next. Jay's really close to being next. I'll say that much.
You said the baby was next?
I didn't. Well, no, but I didn't.
Okay, so
that's another story, man.
before I give my review, I'm gonna throw a quote out there that I saw on Twitter the other day. When it comes to North Carolina, I saw something basically that said that J. Cole put North Carolina on the map, but the baby is showing the world how dudes in Charlotte really act.
This is the element of truth.
Moving on. Okay, so
man,
moving on.
You know what?
It's the point.
Man.
Look, it's either dudes in Charlotte act like elevator Jay or baby. What a lie.
Why it can't be both, man? I mean, I'm gonna put this in proper context. I'm from Beatty'sford Road. Do I look like the average Beatty'sford Road dude? I'm just saying. I mean, it's not one. I am pretty old, man. You don't got to point that out every week, but yeah, man. So, but back to Elevator J, man. You Ain't Never Lied is my favorite joint off the album, man. Again, man, I'm really proud of him. I've seen him live at Snug Harbor tons of times, man. So I'm happy to see the success, man.
Yeah, and I pretty much co-signed what Jamal said. It actually took me a few listens to dig the album because I just got introduced to Elevator J about 2 or 3 months ago, and I've been listening to his last release in 2017. That's kind of how I picture Elevator J, and this project is a lot different than his last project. But the more and more that I listen to it, the more and more that I'm loving the album.
So y'all know, like, I'm real big on the word artist. Remember that argument? And I really admire people who produce their own music. Like, he's stepping into the realm of producing his own music, man, and that's really dope in my opinion, man. And it sounds good, which is most important. So yeah.
And one thing I love about this album, it's like a class. It's like a blend of classic Southern hip hop.
Yeah,
like back to
and I think that was intentional too.
Troy's and stuff like that. And I just love the joint back then. I love it so much.
Now we're speaking music now. So Vashti, what's in your playlist right now?
Oh, I don't. Oh, goodness.
What's in your playlist? Anything goes. Trust me.
I listen to everything.
Don't get a cliche answer. I listen to everything.
I do listen to everything. I listen to her. I listen to Jill Scott. I listen to Dwelle. I listen to Rick Ross. I listen to the Baby, Future. I really listen to everything. I have not listened to Elevator J though, so I'll listen to that on my drive home.
On your way to the game, you want to get hyped. What do you put on in the car?
I don't really have a specific go-to. Like, I'll put on like probably Pandora, like a radio station. When I went to FanFest, I listened to like old school Rick Ross. He always gets me going for whatever reason. He makes that picture. Yeah, he does.
Officer Ricky.
So you're hosting.
So shady.
I know, right? All the time.
You're hosting a cookout. Are you listening to the Beyonce version?
Before I let go,
I got it. I'm listening to both. I will pay homage to the original first, and then you can mix in the Beyonce after.
That's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable.
I have to pick one?
Yes. Choose correctly.
Okay, is it a cookout like right? I mean,
it's a cookout with your aunts and your uncles and your cousins.
My aunts. I played the original.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played the original.
Okay, now you said a few troubling statements throughout the podcast, so I have to ask you this question. Do you know how to play spades?
Child, please.
Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. Then I'll take that as a yes. Now,
what troubling statements did I say to make you question whether I could play
you're
spades?
from South Carolina,
So you know. So So then you know. Then you should know. Wait.
We don't need furniture.
Rodney.
She knows who Rodney is now.
I can't play spades.
Yeah.
I just never want Cam to learn.
You're from Charleston?
Yep.
And you don't know how to play spades?
I'm the only one. Probably the only one. Me and my sister. My sister's 30 too.
I'm judging.
I
learned how to play spades when I was like 9.
Yeah. I got one more question, and I'll leave it on. When you are playing spades, is it Joker, deuce, or is it Joker, deuce?
First of all, when I'm with my family, it's Joker, ace. They play straight old school, like, yeah. It ain't, like, I'm sorry. When I'm playing with my uncles and my cousins, like, old school, it's Joker. What is a deuce? It's Joker, ace. Now, if I'm playing with, fellow millennials, it's Joker. If they play, like, I don't play with either. I don't like 2 deuces. That's too much.
It is.
You don't need 2 deuces. You really don't even need a deuce. But if we playing with deuces, Joker, deuce, not 2 deuces.
I secretly don't know how to play spades that well, so I'm trying to.
You need to shade your friend too.
You don't know how to play spades either, Jamal?
Not that well. No.
We might need some roster changes on this podcast. Jeez, this is
Jamal.
This is troubling. We're going to play spades next week.
I play Madden. What's it?
I play Madden too.
Ain't good.
Y'all both trash.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to move on to our shout out. And I'm going to start it off by shouting out Jennifer King. She was the running back coach during Fan Fest. She's a coach at Intern. Jake Peets was his wife was in labor. She stood in for him. Awesome job.
Good stuff.
Who wants it next?
I'll go next. I will shout out Off the Wall, Ain't King and Justice for doing Michael Jackson tribute last night. Great crowd. Great event as always. I also would like to shout out just my kind of my close friends, my family. They know yesterday was a rough day for me, man. So I appreciate the love everybody gave me yesterday. So I'll just shout out them. Yeah.
Okay, I want to shout out Arion and Erica. They're a husband and wife team who a couple years ago they created Play MARSports. It's primarily a kickball league, but they've kind of expanded into I think basketball and other sports. And as we're talking right now, they have a pretty big kickball tournament going on right now. Today is the women's tournament. Yesterday was a co-ed tournament, and it took them about a year to put this together. And ESPN Charlotte is out there. They got other vendors. There's like $5,000 on the line. And so far, it's been a hugely successful event. And I'm just happy that they were able to pull it off. And I just want to say shout out to those guys.
Good stuff.
You have a shout out?
All right.
Oh, well, I didn't know I was going to have to shout out.
You're part of the family.
Well, I don't talk about her enough, so I want to shout out my mom. She's like my mentor, and she's my biggest supporter, so.
All right.
Shout out my mom.
There you have it.
Kaz, you have a shout out, brother?
Not a shout out. I'm just thinking about the victims of yet another
mass
shooting.
2.
We have to do something. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
No
Co-sign.
Thank you for watching Under Construction. Thank you to our guests today. You were wonderful.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
All right, then.
All right, we'll see y'all next time. All right.
Hold it down.
Peace.